Hi Prof and classmates, I'm Jing Lei. Today, I'll be presenting on an article that I came across on the Economist titled Prices for Many Goods Do Not Move the Way Economists Think They Should. When United Kingdom decided to leave the European Union, it caused sterling to tumble dramatically. Global firms that were selling to the British market had the same production costs as before, but they got lesser money for each good sold. As a result, firms could have increased prices to make up for the decline in revenue. However, some firms chose to shrink the packaging of their products while keeping prices unchanged. Toilet rolls and toothpaste tubes became smaller, and the peaks on a bar of Toblerone grew conspicuously less as well. This phenomenon, which is known as shrinkflation, already existed, but Brexit has made it more visible. We are all familiar with the charts of demand and supply. Given a drop in demand, firms can either choose to sell fewer items at the prevailing price or cut prices to prop up sales. But online retailing has made it much easier for us to collect fine-grained data, and it reveals how poorly these textbook models reflects real-world market dynamics. From a paper done by Diego Aparicio and Robert Rigoban, known as Quantum Prices, they found two phenomena. One, known as quantum pricing, and also a reluctancy for firms to change prices. Quantum pricing refers to how firms sell 1,000 different items but do not offer them at 1,000 different price points. Alternatively, firms slot their items into a dozen or two different price points. From my search on H&M Singapore's website, I found similar results. There were an array of items that were priced at $14.95, and another array of items that were priced at $16.95. When firms change an item's price, they tend not to nudge a little, but rather reslot it back into one of the pre-existing price categories. Another phenomenon that they found was that firms rarely change prices at all. Instead, retailers seem to design products to fit into their preferred price points. Given a big enough shift in market condition, such as an increase in labor, firms can make their production process less labor-intensive to make up for it. This illustrates how firms can redesign their products to fit into a price rather than to tweak the price. The central banks are starting to notice the consequences of such pricing strategies among firms. Inflation has become much less responsive to economic conditions as it once used to be. For example, deflation during the Great Depression was mild and short-lived. Even after nearly 3 years of unemployment below 5%, the US inflation rate has gone below the Federal Reserve's target of 2%. Lastly, published annual reports from the Bank for International Settlements has mused that quantum pricing and related phenomena can help account for such trends. But there might also be a case of simultaneous causality here as well. Firms' aversion to price changes can be a consequence of low inflation as much as it is a contributor to it. During periods of high inflation, firms are less likely to face repercussions from consumers when they raise prices to account for rising costs. On the other hand, during periods of low inflation, consumers are much more sensitive to changes in price. Hence, falling inflation makes price stickier and less likely to change. Firms then opt for other ways to impose costs on consumers, such as reducing quality or quantity. The labour market is also disinclined to price changes in the form of wages. Wages are notoriously sticky, especially towards pay cuts. Hence, economists have blamed sticky wages for unemployment during recessions. This is because firms that are unable to reduce wages to maintain margins are forced to fire workers instead. Nonetheless, there are other options available for firms as opposed to reducing wages. Firstly, firms can boost output per worker by driving workers harder. Secondly, firms can reduce benefits given to workers, such as reducing holiday allowances. Lastly, firms can also offer workers a longer working schedule as opposed to reducing wages. To conclude, the practice of tweaking quality in lieu of price could create havoc with essential economic data. Muted inflation figures are then less informative as they can be concealing a much more turbulent economic picture. Low inflation has brought about a different sort of confusion that weakens the case for keeping inflation low. Thank you.